Tom, welcome to the Football Excellence Podcast. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Good. You just arrived in Cali, right? You were signed by the 49ers this free agent season. How's it feel to be in Cali now?
It's great, man. I'm excited to be here. Obviously, everything's closed, so can't really get the full experience, but I'm digging the weather, digging San Jose. Everyone's been pretty nice that I've met, and the weather's great, so can't beat it.
Yeah, it's quite the upgrade in weather from New York. I can only imagine. But so tell us about free agency. I mean, you've been through the process several times. You've been with the Jets, you've been with the Vikings, now the 49ers, Falcons, Redskins. That was 5 teams, right?
Yeah, Redskins, Falcons, Bears, Vikings, Jets, 49ers.
Okay. Now, what's that like, getting done with the season? These past couple contracts you've signed have been 1-year contracts, right?
Yep.
So you get done with it, and then you're just waiting. Like, talk about what it's like. You're in discussion with your agent. Are you talking with the team? What is that like?
Basically, once the season ends, there's that whole rush of it being over. Like, you're kind of dealing with that because you've been on this routine of going in every day, practicing, all that, and then it's just done. Like, there's no weaning off of it. It's just season's over, and you're just like, okay, what now?
Yeah.
You take a couple weeks to kind of process, kind of reevaluate the year, and then honestly, it's time to relax. Like, you just went through hell. Like, body's banged up. So I take a solid 2 weeks of just sitting on the couch, catching up on shows, freaking ordering pizza, just eating like a sandwich.
You got to.
You have to for your mental stability, and because you just been on the screws every day for so long, so you got to just get away, relax. And then obviously, once February hits, I try to me and my wife try to get out, go somewhere nice, somewhere, with some sun, a beach, somewhere, take a real nice vacation. But then once you kind of get back from that, you basically get back to working out again and getting on that routine. And it's tough. Some years I know if the team wants me back or if they don't, you kind of have an idea. And the hardest ones are when you think that the team wants you back and you think you're going to be back, but then you end up going somewhere else. Those are the hardest ones. There's been times where when I was done with the Redskins after my 4th year, I knew that they didn't want to re-sign me. It was obvious. So
what was obvious about it though?
basically them not saying we want you back. That's
okay.
If they don't talk to you, if they're not oh yeah, we really want you back, then it's okay, I can read the writing on the wall kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
So you're leaving, which is kind of nice because you can start prepping for the move and finding a new team and all that. It's tough when this last season the Jets were saying that they wanted me back, and I was okay, I'm going to be in New York again. Well, then San Francisco calls and you're oh, okay, I got another team in the mix. And I never thought I would be moving cross country. So it's kind of a shock, but I've done it 5 times now or whatever it is. So I can move pretty well, on the fly, if I need to. But basically you just have to wait it out, man. Cause free agency doesn't start till middle of March.
Right.
So you're just occupying your time, trying to stay busy, stay in shape until you land on a new squad.
Well, it's interesting too how you were talking about how when you get done with the season, you just have to unplug and get away. How demanding is that NFL season? I mean, it's damn near half a year, damn near 6 months of you just locking in every single day. So when you get to the end of the season, it's I don't know what to do with myself, right?
Yeah, I don't know what to do with my hands. Because you've been going from honestly July until, depending on the team you're on, until New Year's, sometimes into February with playoffs.
Mhm.
So, dude, it's tough. It's like because you get on such a routine and such a schedule that it breaks away. And so like I was saying, you have to get away for your like mental stability because like you basically are going from like this very physical and then like a mental lock in to not having to do that anymore. So it's like I got to get away. I got to find something else to do because it's too much if you do it. If you stay locked in all year, you're just gonna burn out.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's like anything else in life. If you don't get the proper healing time and the time away, anyone's gonna get burnt out at anything they do.
Yeah.
Um, and so, what do you owe your health to after all these years? This is your 10th season about to be in the NFL.
Ninth.
Ninth season. I mean, that's so much time if you're just getting your body knocked around. I mean, how do you continue to stay healthy year in and year out?
I can't tell you a specific thing. I feel like it's a combination of one luck. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
obviously if a guy falls on you the wrong way, like you can't help that.
Right.
Um, it's I think a lot also is like your genetics. Some guys are just prone to more injuries than others. It's just a bad deal
Right.
that comes with football. And then like your obviously like your preparation and how much work you're putting in as far as like recovery and like strength training, getting all your joints right and all that. I've
Right.
seen guys. I'm kind of like in the middle of the spectrum. I'm not like a psycho about it, but I obviously do more than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen guys like who that's like and it's some of the guys need it like where they're constantly meeting with different types of people like for therapy, all these different modes of getting your body right. Like
Mm-hmm.
luckily I've stayed pretty healthy. Hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah,
And
that's something.
but yeah, I think like if you have a good diet and you just stay on top of your workouts and keep your joints active, like and do focus on like football specific movements and cuts and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Obviously me running a mile every day isn't going to help me come off the ball faster and like be powerful. So I gotta really focus on what's my specific plan and just kind of attack it that way.
Well, and how has that plan changed over the years? I mean, you go back to college and when Jevin was our strength coach and we were squatting 600 pounds and power cleaning all this weight. I mean, have you moved away from those Olympic lifts and like you said, moved to more functional stuff just so you can be powerful and explosive?
Yeah, I think the advantage with college football is like all the players are young, like 18 to 21. Like you can beat the hell out of those guys and like
Mm-hmm.
resilient, like it's your body can take it. But as you progress and you get older and you go through all these different seasons, you definitely do have to change your approach. So
Mm-hmm.
like I remember starting my like when I was my first couple of years, like I didn't need to warm up. I didn't need to like I was just like, let's go and like
Let's
squat
go.
and just fly through it. But now it's like, give me 20 minutes before we do our
Mm-hmm.
first thing. Like I gotta go get ready. And
Mm-hmm.
so you kind of like it's a slow progression. It's not like overnight. You're like, man, I gotta do this different now. You just kind of like slowly change as your body changes.
Yeah, you change and you mature, and you're just taking all the precautions to make sure you're right, so that when you throw 500 pounds on the bar, you're not snapping a hamstring or something.
Yeah, I definitely am like staying away from more of like the like max out style lifting.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely am way more focused on like functionality and then like slow controlled movements and then when the time is right get those explosive lifts but like in very short bursts or like long rest periods.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and you talked about genetics a little bit ago too, and how important of a role that is, and kind of just the luck. I mean, I always tell a story to everyone that I come in contact with that when your name gets brought up. when we were back in college at the University of South Dakota doing box jumps in the weight room. You got the offensive line and defensive line on this little 2-foot box, and then you've got linebackers, running backs on a higher one, and you got receivers and DBs on a really high box. And you were jumping on the high box with the receivers and the DBs, and it's like, how the hell is this guy moving like that? I can barely get it, and he's moving 315 freaking pounds up there. Like, it's insane, man.
Yeah, I can't really explain it. I mean, yeah, it's just the way I think we're built differently. Funny story with that, like, we were bringing in high school, like, recruit for, like, freshman class and stuff, and Jevin was like, hey, man, come up, show these guys, like, how we lift, kind of what we do and all that. I was like, okay, whatever. It was, like, a Saturday in the off season, and there was, like, 20 guys and with their parents, their families, like, getting a tour of the Dakota Dome and all that. And they bring out the big vertical boxes, and Jevin's like, all right, we're gonna have you jump on these boxes, show them how powerful we are in here. I'm like, all right, cool. And like, it's the tall box you're talking about. I go, I jump, foot doesn't really clear it. I rack my shin on the top of the box and like fall basically over the top.
No.
In front of everybody, and I was just like, oh no, dude. So then I get up and my shin's like bleeding a little bit.
It just hurts so bad.
I was like, dude, I gotta like get back on there. And so like I plant my feet and jump and landed the second time. I had to do it just to like, oh, it was the most embarrassing freaking moment.
You got a room full of recruits, and then you just go and jack up your shin.
Like, show them how we do it here in South Dakota. Like, oh my
You're like, I got this. Oh man, that is hilarious.
Like after that, I was like, all right, dude, we're just doing bench and squat, no more jumps.
Yeah, don't pull us any of this dynamic explosive shit in here. That's so funny. Well, talking about the times at USD, I mean, talk about your transition from USD to the NFL. I mean, you were pretty heavily recruited in college. I remember my junior year, your senior year, we had NFL teams coming in all the time. You got invited to the East-West Shrine game. Did you went to the Combine as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what was that experience like? And then, how was that transition in the NFL? I mean, the bigger, faster, stronger, learning the playbook. I mean, how did you manage all those things?
So basically after the football season, my senior year, I was set to graduate in December. I like got all my classes done, so I didn't have to do the spring semester. And like, basically, I think it was before graduate, because I didn't even walk for my graduation. I went down to Florida and started training like immediately. So like that helped a lot.
And how'd you find your agent too? How did that whole thing get set up?
Basically, like, I think the way it works is they get like a list of guys that are like potential draft picks or something, and then they kind of recruit you a little bit. So like there was like probably 10 different guys. And when I ended up going with mine, it was after a long process, man. They call you and try to like sell themselves you basically. And
right.
So once I got that set up, like, he set me up down in Florida to start training. So like that was huge. And
absolutely.
Yeah, because like Combine, I think, was in February or March or something. I can't remember. Probably March. And I started training in December. So like I had a few months to get all that proper training right. And that helped out a lot, because all I was focusing on was like all the Combine like movements. So like every day working on like the 3 cone drills and the 40 and all that stuff. So like that was cool to like just focus on those few things.
Absolutely.
And then man, we had the pro day at South Dakota. I really didn't do I think I just benched that day because I had done everything at the Combine.
Oh, that's right.
But the Combine itself was like horrible experience. Like it's
really
brutal, man. Like you don't get any sleep. you're doing interviews, like whenever you have any downtime, you're doing interviews with teams.
Interesting.
They're just like poking, prodding, like checking every little thing and like doing all these tests on you, memory tests, like you're
Really?
just
They're
like,
doing memory tests? Like,
dude, they'll do everything. Like they'll say like 10, they'll be like cat, stone, bird, and like you have to like repeat all the words at the end, like, and you're running on like 4 hours of sleep, and you're just like, dude, this
get
is
me out of here.
so like it was brutal, and you just like you have all these interviews with all the different teams, and sometimes you kind of get flustered, say the wrong thing, and then you feel like a jackass, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
these are all like first impressions with teams, and it's very like stressful, and but it was, I mean, I think they could modify it to where they allow you to get a little bit more sleep, but I get why they do it, and but that was, oh dude, it was brutal.
Well, why do you think they do that though? I mean, what's the point? I mean, of keeping you up and.
I think I mean, I don't know for sure, but I feel like it's so they can see you at like your worst. Like they
At
want
your
to,
max stress?
yeah, like how do you handle being tired, being like yelled at,
Mm-hmm.
having to like follow a strict schedule, and like I think they just want to kind of like test your will a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because Marcus and I went to the combine a couple of years ago, and that was my first experience. And we met with a couple of NFL scouts, got to meet a couple of NFL GMs, and like that is the place. I mean, you go walk around to some of those hotels like the West End, and it's just NFL personnel everywhere. I mean, these NFL teams have GM down to their lowest level scout, plus all their position coaches, and it's just insane. And then it's like a rat race once the players come out because they're trying to steal players and grab players from other teams, interview them, and go through their process. So it really is just so chaotic.
It's very, yeah, like it's like a freaking beehive, dude. They're just buzzing around
Yeah.
like left and right, and you're just like, you have like a card with, you gotta be here at this time, and you're just like, you like feel like your first day of high
Mm-hmm.
school or something. It's brutal.
That's wild. Well, going back to your training thing, I mean, for you to decide the agent, I mean, him just saying that he's going to pay for your training, that had to be a big influence on why you chose him too, right?
So my biggest thing was I wanted a guy that was well known and had players, like well respected players. So when they saw my name and his name together, they would take me seriously. That was kind
Mm-hmm.
of I don't even know if that's like how it works, but like at
Yeah.
the time I was like, that seems like how it would be.
Yeah.
So like, I picked Joel Siegel. I'm still with him, and he had like at the time, all these huge guys like Randy Moss, Michael Vick, like
Oh shit.
just like Deshaun Jackson, just all these huge name dudes. And I was like, dude, if I can get hooked up with him, then like they'll be like, damn, this kid's better than maybe we thought, type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that was my biggest thing, my biggest motivation to find that kind of agent.
That
Because
makes sense.
I met with like 10 guys, and like I'd say, like 8 out of the 10 guys were great guys. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were like, they had the credentials, they would have got me the right places. It's just like that was my biggest thing looking into an agent. And everyone has different reasons. Like that was just mine. But
Mm-hmm.
like I definitely met a lot of good dudes that I think still would have helped my career out tremendously. But that was just kind of my thought process.
Well, and it's funny because you said that after your senior season or maybe during your senior season, you had about 10 agents trying to call you and bid for you, and that's kind of the normal process. I didn't have any agents calling me, Tom. I didn't have anyone calling me, but I didn't get drafted in the NFL either. So once you got done with the draft and you were preparing, with the combine, you were preparing for the draft. What and then you were drafted in the 4th or 5th round by the Falcons or by the Redskins?
Sixth.
Sixth round by the Redskins. What was it like when you went into your first training camp, and you had to adjust, like we talked about, to the playbook, to the players, to the speed? Was it a huge shock for you? Or was it not that much of an adjustment?
It was a huge shock. It was luckily we had rookie programs, and it was like rookie mini camp helped out a lot because you're with just guys like your age. Um, is that dinging too loud?
It's all right. It's a little loud, but it's okay.
But yeah, so we had the rookie mini camps, which helps, and I felt like I showed pretty well there. It's once we got to training camp that I was like, damn, like this is big time ball here. Like it was because I'd spent from, I think we went April. So from April to July, I had the playbook. So I was studying that every night. So that wasn't that big a deal knowing the playbook. It was just adjusting to the speed and the physicalness of the NFL. And all spring, I was just getting tossed, dude. I was getting,
actually.
I've been doing one-on-ones versus a Rackpo and Kerrigan, and it's just I'm like, dude,
what am I supposed to do?
I don't know what you want me to do, man. So I was very unsure. I was like, dude, I don't even know if I'm gonna be on the team. I didn't know how the business side worked. So I was, after every practice, I was like, I had a shitty practice, I'm gonna get cut. That's just how it is. And but I just kept stacking the days, and obviously they had motivation to take the time and invest in me because I was a draft pick, which helped out a lot. But that initial the first practice, it's a lot. It's fast. There's a lot of moving parts. You got to come over to this side of the field, go to that side of the field. Drills are over here, and you're always running. It's going to that first college practice. It's the same thing. The next thing up, it's always way more intense than you're used to.
Well, I can't even imagine how stressful it is. I mean, literally your livelihood is on the line. And like you said, you have a bad day and you're sitting there thinking can I get cut? I mean, it's just stress on stress on stress. And fortunately, I think for you, as you said, you were stacking the days, slowly building confidence is what allows you to say, okay, I deserve to be here. Right.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with anybody going into the NFL or in their first year or two is building that confidence, because if you are not confident, you are going to fail so many plays, because it is such a mental state game. You have to be locked in. And if you put enough time in on your individual practice and you do the things over and over and over again, you do them right so many times that your body won't let you do it wrong. And then that's how you gain confidence. So when I go up to the line of scrimmage and I have to reach 3 technique on a outside zone play, I know what my footwork is. I'm confident in that. And then your body just does it.
Yeah.
It's when you're oh, I don't know if I can get him, and you start overthinking, and that's when you get in trouble. So
no doubt,
whatever you can do to get the most confidence as fast as possible is huge.
Absolutely. Well, and with that confidence, I mean, you had to. It comes from seeing guys who are excelling at your position, right? Who are some of the guys that you've played with on the offensive line who are the best offensive line you've seen on the field, off the field, that have helped you learn and grow as an athlete?
Man, I mean, when I was a rookie, I was playing tackle, and so I got to watch Trent Williams play a lot. And I'll never be the athlete he is, or have the physical skills that he does, but just watching him go about how he practices, and all the little sneaky vet things he does, like as far as like technique wise, like I tried to just pick up as much as I could.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then like there's tons of guys who are like not your Pro Bowl type players, but like older vet guys who just like know the technique and are, do a good job of showing you how to do it type of thing. So I tried to latch on to those guys more than anything. The guys who were like
Definitely.
in their like, sixth, seventh year, and they had been doing these drills forever. And so I'm like, obviously they know more than I do. And
Exactly.
they would throw you little tidbits, like load your foot up this way or like widen your stance a little bit this way. And it's those little things I think that are the biggest difference. You just like take those things and kind of lock them in.
Totally. Well, now you're that guy, right? Now you're paying it back, hopefully, to these young guys coming in, dropping some knowledge for them, making them more confident.
Yeah, a little bit, not too much, but just enough.
You're just selfish. I'm not telling you guys shit.
Yeah, I mean, like if it's a guy, like a younger guy who's like a starter on the line, and he's kind of maybe struggling with one thing, I'll definitely shell out like a little bit. But I always try to be careful, like because I don't like coaching other guys because like I don't know. I feel like it's almost like a disrespect thing. But if they want the
Mm-hmm.
help or if they ask for it, like I'll give it to them. But I'm not like seeking to be like, hey, your footwork's bad here, because it's like, dude, I get it enough from my coach. I don't need to get it from you. Like,
Exactly. That's an interesting point. Well, along those lines, so what about greatest D linemen that you've had to go against? I mean, who are some of the toughest guys you've had to block?
I I hate this question. I get it all the time, and like
Mm-hmm.
just because these guys get enough credit as it is, like one. It was
Yes, they do.
that freak. He's got this many sacks. He's got a TFL. It's like, yeah, dude, we get it. He's good. Like, we don't need to add more fuel to that. Like, but I mean, there's so many like elite D linemen in this league.
Yeah,
Like, it's crazy. So like, it almost feels like every week you're like, it's just like that's the guy I'm going against this week. Great, and then the next week it's a different guy who's like a baller, and you're just like every week that's what you got.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I mean you could name a guy on every team, I think, and
Yeah,
they're
that's true. That's so true. That's so true. Well, you're right. D linemen are I mean, it's kind of becoming a more and more of a sexy position with the Aaron Donalds of the world, the JJ Watts of the world. So we'll shift that question then to the which quarterbacks have you played with in the NFL that have led the team and you've just looked up to and you've seen them build a culture and structure the culture around themselves to be winners?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've had a pretty good balance of like younger quarterbacks and older.
Mm-hmm.
So let me think. I mean, when I was in my first 2 years, for older quarterbacks, like I got to play with Rex Grossman.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't necessarily the starter at the time, but he was like really experienced and had a lot of good knowledge. And he would like mentor a lot of the younger guys, which is great.
Yeah.
But then I truly got the experience in Atlanta with Matt Ryan, dude. He was something
Right.
else. Like it was so cool to see that because in Washington it had been, RG3, Kirk Cousins, Colt McCoy a little bit, and but to see like Matt Ryan, just like it was his show, dude. It was so cool. Like, and he took it and ran with it. Like he was the true like leader, and it was like something I'd never really seen before. And he was just like it was like equal parts of like I'm your friend, and equal parts like I'm gonna demand the best out of you. Like so like don't
Mm.
mess with me type of thing. Like so if you ever did something bad, like jump off sides, like got a holding or something, he would like let you know. Like that's not okay. And like I
Interesting.
love that about like that position is like the good ones are like the best leaders, and like you take so much from that, and like you want to play so much better, and like
Right.
you don't want to let them down, dude. Like they're like 10-year plus players that are like the studs of the league, dude, and you just want to do everything
Mhm.
you can to like make them winners too. So I got who else was there? Obviously, like going to Minnesota was sweet. Playing with Kirk again,
Mhm.
when we were both a little older, you could tell it was both our first year there, and he had started building, kind of his way of wanting to lead, and I'm sure it's still continuing that way.
Mhm.
Um, and then, I don't know what to expect out here yet. I haven't really met any of the guys, so but I just
Mhm.
assume that obviously Garoppolo is going to be a great leader too. So I'm excited to get to work with him.
Yeah, no doubt. That dude's a baller. He's one. Dude's a baller. He's one of the rising. I mean, he's
Yeah.
a rising star. I mean, he is a star now of the NFL. So that's
Mhm.
super exciting. And it's so awesome to hear what you had to say about Joe Flacco. I mean, because you can almost see that from a fan perspective on the outside, how he's built that, or built that offense, and he is just a leader on and off the field. I mean, he carries himself with such a strong, positive regard, and obviously it shines leading a football team. I mean, that's almost like what he's meant to do.
Yeah, we're talking Matt Ryan, right?
Sorry, Matty Ice. Yeah, what did I say?
Flacco.
Oh, yeah, Matty Ice. My bad.
I was like, wait, no,
Wait.
no, for sure though. Like you, it, it's hard to explain, but like when those guys in the league, like Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton
Mm,
Manning, like those, just like those iconic quarterbacks who've been playing forever. Like they have such a like charisma and like a pull
yeah,
to them, like that they just get the best out of everyone around them.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I mean, look at Tom Brady. I mean, what do you think about Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers?
Yeah,
It's
dude.
crazy.
I never thought he would leave, but like if that's what he wants, man, like kudos to him. Like, but
Hmm.
like, yeah, that's, and I'm sure, like, dude, they'll follow his page, and he'll kind of have full control, and everyone will get better for it. It's just he's just one of those dudes.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to think that they're not going to do great this year. I mean, they were stacked last year if they didn't have James Winston throwing 4 picks a game. So it's like they're going to be a tough team to beat, I think.
Yeah, I feel like the Bucks, like even in their like years where they didn't have great records, like they've always had good like defense, good team, like as far as
Hmm.
like people go. So like adding anything more to that's just like bad news for anyone else.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're going into quite the situation yourself. I mean, team that got to the Super Bowl, uh, possibly could have won the Super Bowl, and I mean, returning a ton of guys. I mean, what is your excitement like now joining the 49ers on a team that has a great chance at getting to that Super Bowl?
Yeah, dude, I'm so jacked about it. It's like being on different teams. I've been on good teams, bad teams, ugly teams, like, and there's nothing beats being on a good team, like where the locker room's good, the coaching's good, like the environment's good, like nothing beats it. I like that's all you can ask for is like, and obviously like we're not like gonna just win it by saying it or like being like, oh, well, you're on the 49ers, you guys are going to the Super Bowl. It's like, every year you have to put in the work, you have to earn that shit. So
Hmm.
like it's not a given. Like when I went to the Vikings, they were in the NFC Championship the year before I got there, and we failed to go to the playoffs the next year. So it's like
Damn.
that
Hmm.
doesn't mean much, but you do have a great foundation there, and I feel like the sky's the limit with us. Like, because you take what you did last year, you have the same coaches, and hopefully, build on that, adding a few pieces here and there. But like, we're in a great position. But like, it's like super cliche, but like everyone's 0-0 at this point. So like you got to
Yeah.
work.
Well, and touch on the part of it, because I think I understand this just at the college level. So I can only imagine it's amplified on the pro side. I mean, the difference between being on a losing team and a winning team, where a losing team, you're still putting in the same amount of effort. You're coming out, you're grinding each week. But when you're coming back to the office the following week, you don't have that pep in your step. The coaches aren't smiling when you walk into the office. I mean, that just, like you said, like it's a dream come true to go to a good team, but it can be hell being on a team that sucks.
Yeah, it's the way like the season's set up, where once you're like eliminated from playoffs, and if you're on a bad team, like, and it's only like week like 12 or something, you're like, I got another month of just miserable people, like, because like people, they get so tied up into to your record that like it lets them like define them. But like to separate yourself, you have to go in every week like working, and like each week's a new week. But like once that playoff situation's eliminated, like you see a lot of people stop caring, and you see a lot of people being assholes, like, and no one, it's just a terrible work environment. So when you're on a good team, man, like the highs are high and the lows aren't as low. So it's definitely good.
Winning is the ultimate cure to everything. I mean,
Exactly, dude. It's
better for worse.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Well, and so as we're kind of coming to close, Tom, you've got a couple of years left in the league. What do you see yourself doing once your career comes to an end? I mean, do you have any idea, any hobbies you want to pursue, any businesses you want to pursue, or what does that look like for you?
That I have no clue about yet. I'm kind of hoping it'll all kind of come together and everything will kind of look clear when it comes to that point. But like, I feel like I still have a lot of good years left with football, and I'm like putting everything into that right now. So I don't really have any like other like business passions. Basically it's football, dude. Like I love playing it. I love my job, like everything that comes with it. I hope I can keep playing it for as long as I can. And I think once I kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, I'll start like, really focusing on what my life will look like afterwards. But I still feel like I got so much left. So like, it's not, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Well, no, I think that's a great perspective to just have 9 seasons in and you're still feeling strong, feeling good. I mean, there doesn't have to be a plan after, because you love what you're doing, and hopefully it does last 5 more years, to 7 more years, for God's sake. If you can do it. Tom Brady's what, 42 now? Or how old is he? Yeah, anyway.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's amazing, man. Well, congratulations on everything, Tom. I want to see you in the Super Bowl this year, man. That would be amazing. I'm trying to make that trip if you're there. But appreciate you being on the show. This is another episode of the Football Excellence Podcast. You guys take care and talk soon. And don't forget to watch TC this year in San Fran. Peace out, guys. Yeah, thank you.